Dr. Stacey, and welcome to Diets Don't Work, my podcast. And I have the amazing opportunity to have the one and only fabulous Melissa Vogel here with me today. Melissa is a fitness expert with over 20 plus years of experience. She's also a business owner, a second degree black belt in Taekwondo, a white belt in Jujitsu, and an amazing mom of 3 girls, and so much more. I have the opportunity to spend time here with Melissa today, and we're actually going to be doing a 2-part series. So the next series will be on Melissa's podcast, which is Bomb Mom Podcast, which you'll hear a little bit more about. But I'm not going to waste any more time at all. We're going to dive right into this, how health and wellness is essential to creating the life that you desire. And we're just going to have an open conversation here in regards to how you can navigate your wellness journey, how you can accelerate your success. And it doesn't come from the foods that you eat or the exercise that you do. And it will be a hidden secret that Melissa is going to unveil for us. And we're also going to dive into keeping that motivation up. You know, sometimes in the very beginning, you're all gung-ho and you're all in. How long does that last? A few hours, a few days, maybe a week. And then you're already back to the old routine. So we're going to dive into motivation and how you can keep that going forward for you. So without any further ado, welcome, Melissa. I'm so happy to have you with me today.
Hi, thanks for having me on, Dr. Stacey.
So go ahead and share a little bit about your background, Melissa, what your business is, and how you really help people the most. What's your one secret that you really want to bring forward with us today?
Yeah, well, I'm so glad to be on the show with you today. So thank you again for having me on. I am that busy, hustling, working mom of 3 plus 3 stepkids. And everything that I do, I always make sure that I'm doing with drive, purpose. I tell my kids all the time, like, how you do anything is how you do everything. That is not an original quote of mine. It's stolen from somewhere at some point. But I have been, like you said, in the fitness industry for a long time now. I actually started teaching and training when I was only 15. And the owners of the gym actually told me, like, if anyone asks you how old you are, like, just don't tell them. So it was always interesting doing these classes, and mine were always full, and I loved it. At an early age, I started working at the gym because I saw something posted at my high school and it said free gym membership in exchange for cleaning the weights. And I was like, I can clean weights and I want a gym membership. So that's how I got my foot in the door. And then I started taking classes and they're like, you're really good at this. Like, have you ever done this? And I'm like, no. And it just took off, and that sparked my love of fitness then, at a very early age. And I loved how I could just motivate everyone, even if it was just for that 1 hour, like all these people at once, like just change their lives, even if they're going to go off and go do something else. That sparked it. And I absolutely loved it. And from there, fitness, kickboxing, martial arts, I'm a collegiate volleyball player. Everything just, it works with my life. And then you have kids and life changes. And no one warns you of this on your fitness journey, because your hormones shift, your hips change, your ribs. It doesn't matter how small I get. I will never fit into pre-baby jeans. Like, my hips have grown. Yeah, there's a lot of women out there that still strive to get into those pre-baby, clothing. And I'm like, oh my God, we got to let that go. But after becoming a mom, that's when it really hit me hard, because my last daughter, I had put on almost close, I say 65, but it was probably close to 70 pounds. And that baby weighed like 8 pounds, 2 ounces. She was not a 60-pound baby. That was all me. And, you have these little ones to take care of. Everything gets put on the back burner. You get put on the back burner. But when you do that and you put yourself on the back burner, you get back burner results and a back burner life, and you are tired and you are unmotivated and you just give. And when I really started changing my life and making these changes with my health and fitness and stuff, and doing what I thought I knew, because I was a trainer, I should know all the things. I should know how to make the changes and do it. It's hard. I would do like the P90X in my basement. I would do like the videos. I would train myself. but it wasn't enough. And I was missing huge connections with the mindset piece and the self-talk and the self-worth with the food and nutrition and the exercising. And there was a huge gap. And I started my own journey of bringing these together. And it's crazy how much when you bring them together, the motivation changes, your inspiration changes, you change as a mom. And that's how my program, Busy to Bomb, Fit Mom, was born. And it's like 7 years worth of transformation on myself, what worked, what didn't work. And then I started testing it on clients. That's how it was born, was through my own journey and transformation and bringing all those puzzle pieces together that people just, they don't get it.
Right. And I have such a similar journey to yours. And that's why I think we click so quickly, because the same thing, if you have a back burner life, I had 3 kids at the time. I was working, taking care of my family. I was on the back burner. And your body can only do that for so long. When there's no self-care, nothing for you, nothing within, then everything falls apart. The wheels fall off the bus. And if you don't listen to those little taps on the shoulder, your body's going to give you that 2x4 whack over the head to stop you in your tracks until you make that change or come to that realization. And just as as being a fitness instructor and knowing the workouts and the routines and the knowledge you had, myself as an educated healthcare professional, even I didn't have the tools either to avoid my own health crisis. And so I did go on an exploration journey to find the way to health naturally, because there were big chunks that I was missing, and self-care was one of them. So thank you. Carry on. I love what you're sharing.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy though, how people think like, oh, she must have it figured out because she's a doctor. She must figure it out because she's a trainer, or she knows, she really knows how to eat well. And it's like, doctors need doctors, trainers need trainers, everyone, we're all in the same boat. Just because we have different titles and experience, that doesn't mean that we're going to figure it out. And it's so sad too, that I feel like nowadays, you talked about like the big 2x4 whacking you in the head. So many people even ignore that 2x4, and they just are like, slap a Band-Aid on that wound I got there and just keep going, because they just keep pouring out the excuses of like, well, I just don't have time, or I don't have the money. That's a big one right now, because, the economy, the world, doesn't matter what state, city, country you live in, it's crazy everywhere. And it's easy. I'm not saying that it's not valid, but it's easy to pull things like that and be like, well, it's because I don't have enough money. Well, it's because I don't have enough time. Well, my kids are in, all these sports, and when would I ever fit it in? Or I've never worked out before. I've never done it. So that it's impossible. And it's just so sad, because we aren't put here to just exist. We've been put here to live a life and have it be completely fulfilled. And people miss this. Have you ever seen that movie, Croods? The Croods. It's a cartoon.
No, I have not. No.
I don't think it's Disney. I'm trying to think. If people listening or watching, they'll be like, oh yeah, the Croods. It's about this cave family, and we watch their lives and how they survive. And the dad keeps everyone together. There's a point to this, I swear. And he's trying to keep the family, it's got grandma, brother, sister, whatever. And he's trying to keep them. They're the only ones that have survived so far, like the end of the world coming and dinosaurs and whatever. And he keeps them in the cave, and we all stay together. And the teenage daughter at one point says, "This is not living. We're not living. We're just not dying." And I remember sitting there listening to that with my kids and watching it. And it's a great movie. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, she nailed it. The teenage cartoon daughter in Croods nailed it. And I feel like that's where people are right now. And it's getting worse. It's just getting worse. And people, they're not living. They're just not dying.
Exactly. And oftentimes they just think, oh, it's okay. I can do whatever I want because there's going to be a pill. There's going to be something. There's going to be something that's going to fix me later. And, in regards to my perspective, it's like, why wait till later? And why wait till a crisis? Why not have the quality of life that you desire from beginning to end? Mm-hmm. Why wait for a crisis to happen to turn things around?
Right. Right. And I'm around moms and women all the time, having three girls in sports all the time. My stepchildren and their moms, and then all these sports teams and things that we're involved in. It's just moms and parents everywhere in the bleachers watching practice, like everything. And I see them show up every season and they look exactly the same. They complain about the same things and they look the same and it's awful. And a lot of them sit around and talk about me. I'm not stupid. Like, we had to go to a scrimmage just last night and I walked in my leggings and my tank top still from my workout. And I kept those clothes on purpose, knowing I had to still work out later at night. And I'm like, well, I'm not taking this off. Like, I'm just going to stay in this. And I had like a white tank top on, kind of a crop top, a little bit of my midriff showing. And the looks that I got when I walked into that gym, and it was just insane. And I wish people would just open their eyes and see more of like, wow, that's inspiring. That's motivating, instead of, oh my God, look at her, and using it as a judging thing and then making them feel bad. And then they go through, well, she doesn't have a real job, or they like start taking away, your like hard work and effort that you've put in to make excuses to make them feel better. And it breaks my heart that we're not right now building each other up. We're tearing each other down and not using each other as motivation. We're using it as a way to validate our excuses.
Right. And that steps into not only excuses, but then lack of taking action because, oh, I can't do it. Oh, mom and dad had diabetes or whatever the thing is. So I'm doomed. I'm going to have it too. Being the victim, not taking control or responsibility or taking action in their own lives, but just rather being not playing the lead role in their own movie. They're just playing an actor, going through the motions and not even participating in their own life. They're just letting life happen to them instead of living life. And so mindset plays a huge role in making that transition, making a change into desiring a different outcome, into choosing into, okay, you know what? At this point, I've either had a diagnosis or I've had a friend who has had a diagnosis. And I know that right now is the time that I can make a change. Things aren't gone too far yet. And I know that now is the time, because if I don't do it now, I'm going to be in big trouble later. And so stepping into that choice, and that is a shift in mindset. So let's shift a little bit to mindset and how important that is, rather than just the foods that you eat or the exercise that you do. How long will food and exercise take you when you don't have the mindset to support the change you want?
Right. And food and mindset will only take you so far. That's the outside stuff. When I'm diving into people's journey and everything, and I'm like, so tell me, what have you been doing? What do you want to change? What have you tried in the past? Stuff like that. It's all physical, outside stuff. Well, I started eating this and then I stopped, and then I started working out and doing this. And I tell women all the time, if I don't get you mentally fit as well as physically fit, it'll never last. Because people try these diets and fads and stuff, and like, that's fine. You'll lose weight because you're eating less calories and like whatever, but you can't do that forever. And then what happens when the world changes again, or stress happens, or there's birthday parties or life events and everything, and you were relying on that outside piece, to just get you through it. Well, now you can't, because you don't have those food options, or your gym closed, or you can't do anything, and you're like, the kids are just busy. You physically can't get to the gym. Well, what's going to keep you going? What's going to help you find another path to take when this one closes? And that's your mindset. And it is the most, creating your vision and where you want to go, and your mindset are the two top pieces of a puzzle in the fitness industry that's completely missing and people aren't coaching on.
Absolutely it is, because they don't touch it. They don't even comment on it. They don't even realize it. They don't even know it. They say, oh yeah, you got to eat this or don't eat that. And you got to do 50 burpees a day or whatever their shtick is. And it has nothing to do with getting yourself mentally ready and prepared for the journey you want to take. And yes, visualizing in that, determining the goal that you want to achieve, determining the journey you want to take and developing the steps to get there. That is the battle. That is what will sustain you in the end and have you achieve it. Because all the rest of the stuff, as you said, those diets, whatever fads, they're short term. You may see a shift in this number on the scale for a short period of time.
Yeah.
But everybody knows when you stop doing that thing, that diet, that fad, whatever, it rebounds. And you gain back more than you ever lost in the first place because you didn't get the mind healthy. You didn't step into what are the strategies that I can use when I'm back at my family birthday party and the cake comes out and the ice cream and the whipped cream and all the junk that destroys the innards of your body and that doesn't fuel your body well. What do you do then?
Yep.
Well, every other person would say, of course, I've been working really hard. I've lost all this weight. I deserve that reward. I deserve that treat of that cake. How did cake and snacks and junk become treats, rewards to us? How did that happen? Right?
No.
It's when you stop and think about it, they're actually killing you. All of that junk is killing you, yet you view it as, oh, I'm going to treat myself because I ate those stupid salads all week. So here we are back to mindset, eating those stupid salads all week. When you envision why you're eating the particular foods that you are to make the change, and you understand the importance of those foods and what they do inside your body to nourish you, to help you on your journey, to take you on that path, that's a complete mindset shift. So jump right in on that. I'd love it.
Yeah. And people are so lazy. Because people could be listening to us right now or watching and being like, well, is there an app for that? Is there an app that I could use that'll do all the work for me? You know, and those treats, I have to add this in because it like triggered me when you were saying it. Those treats and those rewards, those exceptions, right? Like in our mind, we tell us like, it's just this time, or this is the exception. It's the exceptions that kill you. It's the exceptions to the rule or what you're trying to do, or like, here's your path and you're going to go off your path and here's the exception. That will kill you. It'll kill your goals. It'll kill your ambition. It'll kill your mindset. It'll kill your motivation, everything, you know? And I think those women and men that are like on TV and like the different programs or even, and not even TV, but like even social media and stuff that we follow, and they're like, do this and do that. And like, follow your macros. They can't coach on this stuff because they probably haven't done the work themselves, you know, so they stay away from things that they don't know much about. And if we actually could see behind the scenes, it's probably a disaster of their life, you know? So I always tell people to add that in, like, while you're working on your mindset and you're figuring it out and you're trying to become, you know, tougher and stronger, be very careful of who you listen to and let into your mind. The podcasts that you listen to are really important. The people that you follow on social media, the TikToks that you watch, like all of it. And, you know, the reels that we're swiping and stuff. Be very careful who you stop and look at and you're like, oh, I feel good today, or like whatever, like who's influencing you? Because I bet if we took away the curtains and look back there, it honestly could be some 22-year-old that's never had a baby. And you're like, I want her abs. And I'm like, well, so do I, but have her push out 3 children first, and then we'll talk stomachs, you know? So that will mess with you too. And it brings you down. It messes with your mindset. And the very first thing that people can do when it comes to changing this, because I'm sure people are listening and watching and they're like, but how do I do this? Do I read some self-help book? Yes, there are amazing books out there to read for sure. That's one way of like programming the brain, right? We could program the brain with all of our senses, you know? But the biggest thing and the easiest step for people to do is like get a little notebook and just start paying attention to your inner chatter, you know, your inner self-talk, and also your outer, like, and the outer is easier to catch for some reason, because once you're aware of it and it flies out your mouth, you're like, oh God, you know, like when you wake up in the morning and you see yourself in the mirror, are you like, hello, gorgeous? Or are you like, oh my God, like I look awful and I'm puffy. And then we, the woman thing where we stand to the side and we like suck it in. And we're like, if only I looked like this, and God, I'm so fat. And then we get on the scale and the scale doesn't tell us what we want. And then our whole mood is ruined for the day because of a piece of metal on the floor. And oh my God, be very aware. What's your first thoughts in the morning? How are you speaking to yourself? And the stuff that comes out, what are you saying to your kids? What are you saying out loud? Like, oh yeah, mommy's tired right now. Or I don't have the energy, or even what you say to them, knock it off. You can't remember anything, or you don't do that right. It's programming. You're programming your children. And the things that you say about yourself is like, God, I can never remember someone's name, or I forget everything. I'm late all the time. That's programming over and over and over again. And once it goes even deeper and you start saying things like, I can't diet. I can't stick to a diet. I can't eat healthy. I can't give up bread. I used to say all the time, I could never give up bread and pasta. Guess who's still thriving and alive, not eating bread and pasta? I also found out I had a gluten intolerance. So,
so you're not only alive, but you are absolutely thriving without bread and pasta.
Yes, thriving so much more.
Words are so important, right? The words that you use, but just as you said with social media, how you nourish your mind. We talked about getting your mental health fit first, right? Getting your brain on track, getting your mind on track, getting your thoughts on track. What you pump into that mind, what you're exposed to, influences how the mind works. And just as you said, the words that are being told to you in regards to your relationships, who's speaking to you in what fashion, and the words that you're using, not only to yourself, your inner talk, yes, which can be more difficult at first to realize, because the amount of chatter that goes on in your brain actually is phenomenal. And so you actually have to get still and listen. And so much of life is by the calendar, by the alarm on the phone. What's the next thing going? Where do I have to go? People run through life for many reasons, one of them being so they don't have to face life, so they don't have to get quiet, so they don't have to listen, so they don't actually have to pay attention. They're just on automatic pilot running from one thing to the next and avoiding everything in their life that really matters. Yeah. So taking that time, especially, I love to do it first thing in the morning at 5 o'clock when I'm up, not only to give gratitude for all the things that are around. And that would be one of the first tips that I would recommend to people if they're just wanting to make a change and stepping into positive mindset, is what 3 things are you grateful for? As soon as you wake up, start your day with that attitude, positive mental attitude. What 3 things are you grateful for? And if it's something brand new that you've never done before, you might struggle. Yeah. You might say, well, it's too early. I'm too tired. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to face the kids that are going to be ratty, heading to school and all that misery. I don't want to face the traffic. What one thing could you be thankful for? The pillow under your head, perhaps, that you get to breathe air for another day. Start with one thing, the blanket that you have covering you, that you might have running water in your bathroom. Some of the simple things that we do take for granted, but that you can identify with. And as you start making this a practice, then it will become easier for you to find other things that you are grateful for. And one of the most amazing things that I think about is in the morning, if you happen to wake up and it's a gray, rainy Monday, right? And so many people will say, oh, what a crappy day. So by saying that, not only to yourself or out loud or to anyone else, you've already predetermined how your day is going to play out. And why on earth would you give all of your power to the weather to determine what kind of day you're going to have? Just because it's raining out and it's gray and you call it a crappy day. Meanwhile, rain is life. Without water hitting the ground, there is no life. Yeah. Water is essential to our bodies, to our beings, to the growth of food, to all of the beings on this planet, all the creatures, big and small. Water is essential. Yeah. So that is one of the most grateful things I am for, is a rainy Monday, because that means there's flourishing life everywhere. So being mindful of how you start your day, not rolling out of bed on the wrong side of the bed, but getting up on the right foot with a greater attitude, because attitude is energy. We are all energetic beings. And when that negative Nelly walks into the store and you see them, they don't even have to say a word and you can feel that. So if you begin to shift your energy, if you begin to step into gratitude and gratefulness and things that you're thankful for, you have a different outlook upon yourself. Not only that, but others will relate to you differently, and it will begin to change your relationships.
Yeah.
It is so far reaching, this one little thing.
Yeah, you'll attract them too. It's crazy, the power of attraction, and that energy and like attracts like. It's so real. And I know people probably are listening, and my followers and stuff on Instagram and everything, they always keep it real because I keep it real. So I attract other people that are going to keep it real and stuff. And I show the mess and the madness going on in my life on my stories and everything, but a lot of people think that it's super cheesy, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, starting my day with gratitude or watching myself talk, Melissa. And I'm like, yeah, but is what you're doing now working? Like, how's your relationship? Be very careful of throwing those stones, because you're standing in a glass house right now, buddy. So even if something seems cheesy and like, oh my God, is that really going to work? Give it a try. The answer is yes, especially if you are on a journey with your health and your fitness and you're looking to go next level. And it doesn't matter if next level is taking just another 5 pounds off, or putting on more muscle, or just getting into that bathing suit, whatever like that next step is for you. If you don't connect that mind with the body, it will never happen. It'll never work. And if you do, it'll be very short term, because, and again, not a Melissa Vogel quote, but the mind is the general. The body is the soldiers. You have to think of it like that. I really wish I knew who said that so I could give them credit, but it's not me, but I use it all the time. But whatever the general does and tells the soldiers go, okay. So if the general's like, I just can't do this, I'm just not motivated, I'm just not feeling it, I'm really behind, and I'm really struggling. I'm thinking of all the things that the women tell me, like in my program or coming in or whatever before, I really this. The body goes, okay. Or if you're telling yourself like, I just can't get under 150 pounds. Like, I just plateau there. And I ask the women, I'm like, how long have you been telling yourself this? And they're like, oh, this has been for years. I'm like, no. How long have you been telling yourself this? And I'm like, because every time you say it, your body hears it and goes, okay, hey guys, line up. We're not moving past 150. This is where we stay, because that's what the general told us. And women just look at me sometimes and they're like, is that true? You seem kind of like you're full. And I'm like, no, you have no mind-body connection. And everything that does come out of your mouth, your body's listening to it. So if you're saying you're fat, if you're gross, this is happening, that, or you're behind, I'm slow, whatever, your body will listen and support that. But if you tell it, hey, I might be overwhelmed, but I know I can do this. This is possible. It is possible. I'm going to do a workout today, no matter what. I'm just going to go on that walk. I'm going to be open. Like, hey, I have a workout scheduled at 2, but it might not happen till 6. That was my day yesterday. I'm going to be open to this. The body goes, okay, we'll just be waiting to do whatever you tell us to do. So those pieces, they have to come together, people. They have to. It's, if you're missing something, or you can't break through, or you're like, I just don't know what to do, try connecting your mind with your body and your self-talk.
That is so massive, because just taking that shift and telling your body what you want to have happen. And that's where we go back to the beginning of where we started on this part 1, is you need to know what your goal is, what journey you want to take, where you want to end up, what is the vision that you imagine for you, and start seeing yourself in that place as if it's already happened. And take those steps and love upon yourself. Stop shooting on yourself. Oh, I should do this, I should do that, I should do that. Start loving upon yourself and giving yourself the encouragement. Oftentimes I'll throw up a young picture of myself when I was in the high chair and food all over my face and my hair all ruffled. And I said, how would you speak to that, Stacey?
Yeah.
How would you talk to that, Stacey? Then why aren't you talking to this Stacey like that right now? Why aren't you showing her the love, the kindness, the unconditional support? Why are you not supporting yourself in the goals that you want to achieve? Why are you hating on yourself? Where did that come from? Now, starting to become aware of those words, just as you said, the words that come out of your mouth, because whatever you say is what shows up. Yeah. Oh, I never remember anybody's name. Well, if you want to make that true, keep saying it to yourself, because whatever you say will become true. If you start saying, I am so great at remembering names. It's just a gift that I have. You make that one little switch, look what happens. Try it. I implore you to just try it. It's a game. Life is a game, and it's about all these moving pieces. But stepping into living life and getting out of that cave that the cruds were in is amazing. So let's shift just a little bit while we have a few more minutes to motivation. How to keep up the motivation, Melissa, when that feeling is gone? What's something that you can shed there for us?
Right. Well, the first thing that people need to remember and understand about motivation is that it's a joke. And it comes, we have the days where we're like, I feel so good. I feel so motivated. I'm getting things done. It's not that it doesn't exist, but it's a joke because it comes and goes and changes as often as our underwear. It's just there 1 minute and then it's not. And people get so dependent on it. And then the words come out, I don't feel motivated. I just can't do this, and I don't know how you do it, Melissa, how are you stay motivated all the time? I get that a lot. And I'm here to tell you, I am not motivated all the time. It's funny. I'm like the most, I'm like the laziest, unmotivated, fit, energetic person ever. Which is so one thing and then another thing. But it's true because I struggle with everything that everyone else struggles with. And there are days where I'm like, I'm going to do this. And then there's other days where I'm like, I'm just here and going through the motions with my body. And one thing that can help people to keep going when that motivation has left the building is look at the results. What are you going to get from this activity or this food choice or this mindset work or whatever? Because people ask me how do you fall in love with working out? How do you love it? I don't think I can ever do that. And I'm like, working out is torture. I literally go to the gym to work till failure and make myself fail every day. And I'm in pain. I go there and I put myself in pain. I don't think I'll ever love that. And they just look at me like, oh, but you still do it. And I don't love that. I love the after effect. I love the results. So when I'm there and I'm struggling and I'm like, I do not feel motivated, the self-talk, I remind myself, what are you gaining from doing this? How are you going to feel after? And every time I walk into that building and I walk out a completely different person. So when the motivation there isn't high and yay, I have to stop, slow down and remind myself, how are you going to feel after? What results is this going to give you? What do you want more? How bad do you want it? And I'm like, well, I don't want to stay stuck here and feeling like crap and unmotivated and overweight and out of shape. I want this. Okay. Well, what's going to bridge you from this over to here? And it's what's in between, and it's the activity. It's not the motivation. And people look for motivation to be that bridging gap, and it's not. And the other thing too, is when motivation is low and it's just not there, that's when your environment becomes really important, who you surround yourself with, who's encouraging you or not. Those are things that can help you and everything. But like I said, I think I just said this morning, it came out of my mouth. And Mel Robbins always says this too, that no one's coming to save you. All right. So you have to remind yourself that. And it sounds harsh. Like it's like, no one's coming, but it's true. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to do the work for you. So if you want to feel better, it's something that you and only you can take charge of and move yourself in the right direction. And once you start finding your self-worth and your self-love, you value yourself. And when you value yourself and you hold yourself sacred, you don't need motivation. You show up because you're like, oh no, oh, I'm too good. Like, I'm not going to miss this workout. Are you kidding me? Like, heck no, I feel like crap, but I'm still going to go because I know I'm worth it. So it goes back to that mindset, that self-talk.
And it's so incredible. Just as you said, if you don't look after yourself, no one else is coming to rescue you. Mm-hmm. As they say, put on your own oxygen mask first when that plane is going down, because otherwise you're going to be no good to anybody else. And that was one of the biggest issues that I struggled with. Was growing up, I was always taught to share my crayons with my neighbor at the desk, right, in kindergarten. If somebody didn't have a snack for lunch, I shared my lunch. You always think about everybody else and never about yourself, is what was ingrained in my life. And that led to the detriment of everything, because I was doing for everybody else and nothing for me.
Yeah.
And having that shift, stepping into that, was pivotal in a gigantic transformation in my life, by putting myself at the top of my priority list, because I wasn't even on the list. The things that you would want to do for yourself. Oh, I'd like to go do that yoga class tonight. Meanwhile, 4 kids later, somebody had to get to soccer, somebody had to go to baseball, somebody had to do this, somebody had to get groceries. Hello. And my husband was working nights. So who was there to do it? Well, by the time that yoga class came and went, and then I was exhausted and into bed I went. So where was I? Not showing up for anything. And how can you be your best you if you're not looking after you? No. And so that was the shift, was coming to understand that self-care and self-love is so vital and so important and so not selfish, because it enables you to show up as the best version of you. And isn't that how you want to live through life?
Yeah.
Is being your best and serving others at the highest degree, rather than living a life of fatigue, frustration, exhaustion, and completely depleted and pulling your hair out and almost on death's door. What good are you that way?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a gigantic shift that occurred in my life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. I can't wait to keep going into part 2 with this.
I know, right? I think that's a beautiful segue. We can dive into self-love and self-care in part 2. What do you think?
Absolutely. We'll jump onto the Bomb Mom, and I can't wait to keep going.
Awesome. So, Melissa, go ahead and share how people can connect with you. The podcast is Bomb Mom Podcast. And anything else that you'd like to share here, go right ahead.
Yeah, Bomb Mom Podcast, tune in there. My Instagram is It's Melissa Vogel. So ITS Melissa Vogel. And if you look up Melissa Vogel, you're going to find me on YouTube, Facebook, Melissa Vogel Fitness. And if you're looking more to look into the program too, I can always be found at busy2bombfitmom.com. It's kind of got a ring to it. So check it out. I put everything everywhere, and I'm very open. I'm an open book. So it's very entertaining.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being guest on part 1 of Diets Don't Work. I'm Dr. Stacey, and thanks for joining us here. Be sure to click the like, share it with your friends, and get motivated to making a change in your life as you begin to heal your health naturally. I'm Dr. Stacey. Bye for now.
Hi friends, Dr. Stacey here. Now I want to provide you with the opportunity to join me in my 5 pounds in 5 days challenge. The next one is right around the corner. Click the link, jump in, and that's where I will share with you how you can get your health on track. Sharing and understanding how the body functions on the inside, that's my vision, and my mission is to eliminate the diabetic epidemic globally. So getting your health on track is vital to you creating a life that you love. So join us in the 5 pounds in 5 days challenge. The link is right there. You'll see it. It's either above or below. And you will then have the opportunity to step into creating a healthier, more natural lifestyle as you begin to heal your health naturally. I'm Dr. Stacey, and I'll see you on the inside.